Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, we're going to talk about overcoming obstacles with one of the most popular motivational speakers on the planet. She's going to teach us all about true grit and grace. That's next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
You know how sometimes you meet somebody and you just click? Well, my next guest truly inspires me. We've only known each other for a week. This is the first time we're meeting in person, but she has true grit and grace, and I'm going to say charisma. Amberly Lago, thank you for coming on the show.
Oh my goodness,
Right?
we've had so much fun. Thank you for having me.
Seriously, I think we only met 1 week ago, and now we're best friends. So I don't want you to give away the story just yet, but there's a lot of people watching right now who are going through stuff. It could be loss of a job, loss of a loved one, COVID, the stress. What are some words of encouragement that you can give for the people who are going through something right now?
I would say reach out. Reach out. You're never alone. I thought that, for so long nobody would understand the pain or the struggles I was going through, and so I tried to keep it all inside. And the thing that really saved my life was reaching out for help, admitting that I was struggling, that I was in pain, that I needed some help, which took a lot of courage. I had a little bit of trouble being vulnerable, but I realized that vulnerability is what has really made meaningful connections with others, and there's somebody out there that may be going through something exactly like you. So I think reaching out for help is what I would encourage anyone to do who's struggling right now.
And I was thinking about having her tell you her story or me tell you her story, but let's let Megan Kelly tell you her story.
Amberly Lago's survival story is nothing short of amazing. She had it all. She was living the California dream with her husband, her 2 kids, and then a random accident changed the course of her life forever. She's now detailed her journey in her new book, True Grit and Grace, Turning Tragedy into Triumph. And boy, is that true in her case. Here is Amberly Lago's story. Watch.
Finally, I had the man of my dreams. We had a baby. My oldest daughter was 13, and just life was good.
A wife, mother, fitness model, and personal trainer, Amberly Lago was living the California dream.
And I felt like the rug was pulled out from underneath me. Just in an instant, everything was changed.
911.
Hi, there's an accident on Ventura Boulevard. A girl came on her motorcycle and just totally got smashed.
Do you need paramedics?
She needs paramedics. The leg is twisted up and there's nothing out of the house.
A truck hit the motorcycle Amberly was riding.
I immediately had pain, and I looked down at my leg and just held onto my leg, and it was just crumbled into pieces. It was like one of those scary movies where you see every beat of your heart, the pulsing, the blood was coming out every beat. And I thought, oh, when people started approaching me, that's when I started to realize something, this might be more serious than I think, because they didn't run to me, they kind of walked and stopped and stood in place, and one lady fainted.
Amberly's husband, John, a retired police lieutenant, arrived quickly.
And I heard this just like wailing, and I was like, what is that? And it was my husband. And I said, Johnny, I need you to get over here and be strong for me. And the last thing I remember before they put me in induced coma
was he held my hand, and the nurse said, "We're going to give you something to make you feel all better now."
While Amberly was in a coma, doctors asked John if they could amputate her leg. He refused.
He said, when she wakes up out of a coma, I want her to be the one to make the decision on whether or not her leg is going to be amputated. I want her to have 2 legs when she wakes up.
Amberly's femoral artery was severed and her leg shattered, and the chance of saving it just 1%. Amberly would spend 3 months in the hospital, and she underwent 34 surgeries, but nothing could keep her down. Amberly Lago, come on out.
Oh my goodness. Okay, what was that? One, just an incredible story of overcoming obstacles. What was it like being on national TV that way?
I was scared to death. I was so nervous. I remember asking the producer, they called, and I was like, well, what questions are they going to ask me? And she said, well, this is the news. You just need to go and with your ears open and listen to what Megyn Kelly asks of you. And I was like, okay. And I remember on the flight, on the airplane from California to New York, my husband came with me and my daughter, and they were both sleeping on my shoulder. And I was in the middle on the flight with my eyes like a deer in the headlights, like, I'm going on TV. I was like, oh, I was scared. But then when I took myself, stopped thinking about me and started thinking about how maybe I could help someone else that was listening.
Yes.
Then it turned into excitement, and I think anytime we're nervous about anything, it's like we're in our ego, we're thinking about how we're going to look. But as soon as I remembered why I started anyway, like why I really was doing, why I wrote my book, why I do talks, and why I coach, and why I do any of the things that I do, it's because I want to inspire others. I want to give them the tools to be resilient, to build their grit, to build their confidence and get through struggles so they don't just survive, but they really thrive.
Absolutely. Let's look at your best-selling book right now, True Grit and Grace, Turning Tragedy into Triumph. Okay, how long had you been working on the book?
Well, I'm always amazed when somebody tells me they wrote a book in a couple of months. It took me 2 years. It took me 2 years. Just 5 years ago, I didn't even own a computer. I was a fitness trainer, and I had told some people I wanted to write a book, and they're like, yeah, you better stick to the fitness, girl. And that motivated me even more. When somebody was like, oh, you'll never write a book. I was like, really? I'm going to prove to myself that I can do it. So anybody out there who wants to write a book, this is your sign to write a book. If I can do it, you can do it. I just really set aside time every day. And again, I focused on the reason why I was doing it, because I would have self-doubt creep in and limiting beliefs. And eventually I wrote it. I had a publisher that was interested, to my surprise. And they said, you know what, we don't do any marketing or branding, so if you want to get your message out there, you're going to have to do it yourself. So I started sharing my message on social media, and lo and behold, I got, asked to be on the Today Show, and the rest is history. I could not believe the day my book published. It was right in between my 2 favorite authors, Wayne Dyer and Dr. Brene Brown. And I took a screenshot of it. I was like, I'm a bestseller. What? And I share that just for anyone out there, because I think there's like 81% of people that want to write a book. And I share this because everyone's story matters. You have a story that would be somebody's survival guide. You have a story that would make an impact. And so I say, write your book, share your story, get out there and do it. If I can do it, you can do it too.
I love that. In fact, I think there's a name for it. They call it the one-day novel. I'm going to write a novel one day, and that day never happens. She's an amazing speaker. I got to tell you this story. So I knew I'd be interviewing her, and I got real excited, and so I started to watch her TED Talk, and I was so transfixed. I probably shouldn't have been doing this while I was driving, but I look up, and the traffic light has changed, and I was still so lost in her TED Talk. So you go to YouTube, watch her TED Talk, but this is her speaker reel.
Oh my goodness. It's sold out.
Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Amberly Lago.
I was in a place where I didn't want to continue living, but I was too afraid to die. but there was just something inside me, and we all have it. It's resilience. It's our ability to overcome obstacles and roadblocks and really thrive.
Amberly Lago's survival story is nothing short of amazing.
It is part of the human condition to face change and to struggle with challenges. But what if I told you that you have the ability to change your life today?
I was not supposed to be standing on this stage in front of y'all today. Actually, I wasn't supposed to be standing at all. I had a 1% chance of saving my leg from amputation because I was broken mentally, spiritually, physically. The one thing that truly made a difference and an impact was resilience. And I kind of thought, wow, he can tell I have a PhD and suck it up. And he goes, well, you need to stop. You need to stop right now. You've got something very serious. You've got a nerve disease called complex regional pain syndrome. Your life is never going to be the same. I thought, you know, I have a choice here. I can either go down that road of despair and self-pity and depression, or I can make this better. And suddenly I was filled with gratitude, and gratitude is alchemy. It turns what we can't do into what we can do, and it turns what we don't have into what we do have. If I can just reach one person and inspire one person to not give up, or give them the tools they need to get through any kind of challenge or pain, or even if they're feeling heavy-hearted, and this pacer technique helps them, then it was all worth it. When we have community, it's powerful. You don't have to do it alone. Change is possible, and hope is available, and the choice is yours.
So I have an interesting question I want to ask you, and I asked this to Nick Vujicic. You and I both idolize him. He's one of the top motivational speakers on the planet. And I asked him, I said, Nick, as a motivational speaker, do you ever go through bouts of depression? And he said to me, Jeff, this past year, because he went from a robust speaking career where he's on a plane all the time to zero. And so I'll ask you the same question. I mean, what was COVID like for you as a speaker?
Well, actually, I had all these speaking events lined up, and one by one, they canceled. Some of them went virtual, so I quickly had to get a ring light set up. I'm very, like I was saying before, I only had a computer 5 years ago, so I'm technically challenged. I'm learning. But there were a lot of talks that I was doing that I didn't see anyone. It was just me talking into the camera with a black screen or seeing myself. And I really almost gave up. I really thought to myself, and I said, God, I just don't know if I'm cut out for this, because it was a little lonely. You didn't get the energy of being around people. The reason I speak is because I love connecting with people. I love seeing their joy. I love seeing the transformation happen in them when I'm talking. And I couldn't see that. And I thought, maybe just this isn't for me. And the next email I opened was actually from an agent. And I got on the phone. She's like, I want to represent you. I want to get you more. And I thought, okay, God. I won't give up just yet. But it was hard, because I was used to traveling and being at conferences and being with people. I had just gotten back from a conference in Salt Lake City, and it was different. I mean, I'm grateful that I had virtual speaking, but let me tell you, the first job that I had back was in Florida, and it was the most amazing experience to be around people, and I will always appreciate just being around, getting to be around people.
Yeah, and so one, it's a testimony to you that you're the author of this best-selling book about grit and grace, and you're still having to use your own book because you're forced into obstacles. And I like to tell people, man, we're not driving the car; we're in the passenger seat. God is driving the car, and I try to look for the blessing. Every setback, where is the blessing? Where is God's gift? Are you the same way?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I just have to share this. This might seem a little crazy, but just yesterday, I was in the grocery store, no kidding, Tom Thumb out here. I'm learning all the new grocery stores. I just moved into this area. And I have conversations with God, and I was like, God, if you could just give me a sign, and I'm not kidding you, I get goosebumps thinking about it. The whole electricity in the grocery store shut down, everything went off, and I'm like, oh, well, that's a sign.
That's a sign.
That's a sign.
It's not a burning bush, but God, I'm
Yes.
listening.
Yeah, so I mean, even before we started here, I'm like, God, please come with me. I have a lot of faith. It's what got me through my most difficult times, my darkest moments when, I was in a hospital bed and I was really wanting to give up. So I talked about wanting to give up on speaking, but before that, I was about ready to throw in the towel with life in general. I was at a place where I thought, my husband could find another wife, my kids could find another mom, like they don't deserve this person that I am. And then that's when I thought, I prayed. I got on my knees and I prayed, and I'm like, God, please show me another way. There has to be more to life than what I'm doing with it right now. And that's when my life slowly started to change. And I think that sometimes we just need that little bit of hope. Like I had that 1% chance of saving my leg from amputation. That was just all I needed. Was that 1% was enough that got me through surgery after surgery after surgery. And I think that that's what we need sometimes, is just that little bit of hope. Or maybe it's just that one email from somebody or that one phone call. Transformation can happen in a spark, in a glimpse. And so
Sure. I sometimes tell people they don't make movies about people who were born rich, had no adversity, and died rich. Nobody would watch that movie. It's sometimes the adversity that makes life worth living, right? So we only have about a minute left. Final thoughts. Talk to the audience. That's your camera on the right. What would you like to say to them?
Oh, well, I just want to say thank you, first of all, for having me on the show. This has been so much fun. And I think that I want to say to the audience, if you have these big dreams, to go for them. You're never too old, you're never too young, too dumb, whatever you tell yourself, because I've told myself a lot of those things, that with grit, you can get through adversity, and by giving yourself grace, you can do it with kindness and kindness to others. So, reach out to me, reach out to someone.
Amazing show. We're going to end with her website, which is amberlylago.com. You are a true inspiration. Thank you for sharing your heart and wisdom with the world.
Thank you.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.